Hey everybody, I first of all apologize if I have to get up and leave for a little bit. I have to check on something while I do. But I thought I'd come on here, and this is a special wrestling edition of Topics on My Mind, which is for today, January 20th, 2018. And I thought I'd come on here and discuss about 7 topics as best I can, and if not as quickly as I can. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on that I want to talk about. And I'm going to make sure I get this right. So I'm going to go to the editing, not the editing of this page, but just see what I have here. And the first thing I want to talk about really is hold on. First thing I want to talk about really, and that's my dog. She's okay. She's just waking up a little bit. And like I said, that's my dog. She's just waking up a little bit right now. But the first thing I want to talk about is the match that recently happened uh, this past week on Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling, of course, is on POPTV on Thursday evenings. And hold on for a sec. Sorry about that. I had to make sure our cat went to her little box properly. She's old, but she's doing good, and health wise, she's doing good and everything. So, but she's at that age to where if she gets in a little box, she might end up missing. But she's okay. She's like I said, she's in good health and everything. So, thank the Lord for that. Um, but again, I wanted to come on here and talk. The first thing I want to talk about is Barbed Wire Massacre 3, which occurred this past Thursday on Impact Wrestling. However, the big difference, though, is the fact that it took place on Twitch. Yeah, Twitch, and this kind of relates to this right now because Impact Wrestling recently signed a deal with Twitch, the streaming service, and they joined the ranks of Reality of Wrestling, Hardcore Wrestling, and several other independent, if not mid, major or up and coming uh, wrestling promotions to broadcast the material, the content on Twitch. And basically, from what I've seen so far, this looks like a 24/7 kind of deal, similar to WWE. I guess it's the most affordable way they can do this because they do have the Global Wrestling Network. Um, I guess this is the best way they can get the product out there on the same level as WWE or some kind. So let me check something. Let's check. But yeah, basically it's like the best way they can get the content out there, similar to what you have with the WWE Network. But like I said, you got House of Hardcore, Reality of Wrestling, and several other promotions that are using Twitch, the Twitch streaming service to broadcast their product, to get their product out there. I think I won't be surprised if the NWA gets into this now under Billy Corgan and Dave Lagana. I won't be surprised if maybe several of the promotions that use Fight TV and Powerbomb TV get into this as well as the WWE Network get into this as well. I won't be surprised if any of those promotions start following suit as well onto Twitch down the line. So, anyway, getting back to the topic here, the reason I bring this up and the reason it kind of relates, I kind of merge these two topics into the first topic is even though Barbed Wire Massacre, Barbed Wire Massacre 3 was um, taped about a month ago in Ottawa in the on the last of the post Bound for Glory tapings. Apparently, it was deemed too violent for Pop TV, even though from what I saw, yes, it was violent. Yes, it was brutal. There's no doubt about it. But what I saw there was, something that I think could pass on Pop TV as something they would show anyway. I mean, yes, the ending of the match with the skewers going into Dave Chris's head, and by who was it, Santana? Yeah, that may have been a little over the top, but Dave and Jake Christ, from what I understand, are deathmatch wrestlers. They're an extreme tag team deathmatch wrestlers. That's why they have this contract, like a lot of the talent, to go from Impact Wrestling and still be employed by them or still work for them and be able to go work in places like CZW's Cage of Death and or Best in the World and stuff like that. So it's understandable that people, again, it's understandable that people would, so it's kind of understandable, like with a moment like that. But because I think honestly, when they do the tapings, I think this is true with any promotion. When they do tapings and they have like a deal with a network like Pop, they gotta show the tape. It's gotta go to the people at the network for um for review, so they could see exactly what they're gonna get. And they probably saw that okay, it's I'm not too. They were kind of. I'm thinking what it was is maybe they were on the fence about it. Like they were gonna probably think of doing it, and then I think someone pointing out, well, look what this guy's doing with the alcohol. Look what this guy's doing with skewers, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe that's not the best way. So I'm guessing. My opinion is, I think Pop was going to air it, and then and then maybe somebody pointed out, oh, look what's going on here. Do you think we're trying, because I think, with any kind of business, they want to get more mainstream attention on their product or on their channel, on their network. So I don't think they want to end up having something that's going to derail that. So they probably said, you know what, this may not be as violent as some people, would proclaim a match like this could be, but let's not take any chances. Now, as far as it being on Twitch, according to what I understand, the deal that Impact Wrestling has with Twitch is you're going to get archival footage, from the past and all that. So you'll be able to catch up on the product in case you don't know about it, as well as you'll get match exclusives, just like you do with the WWE Network. So if a match like Barbed Wire Massacre is deemed too violent or inappropriate or whatever, then yeah, you're going to end up getting it on Twitch. And I know what a lot of people are saying. Well, if that's the case, why doesn't Impact Wrestling just move to Twitch? You know, that way they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. It's the same reason some people talk about the WWE, and I'll get into that later on. It's like, why don't they move to another network? Or why don't they move to here, which is a safer platform, even though it's streaming? Those are all good points. But when I look at Barbed Wire Massacre 3, I watched the match. I didn't watch it on Twitch live when it happened, even though it was already pre recorded. Even though I didn't watch it on Twitch, it's live. I did watch the match on YouTube. And the match to me didn't seem, I mean, it was violent, no doubt about it, but it didn't seem like it required it didn't seem like it required to be moved to Twitch, honestly. I mean, with the alcohol situation and the skewers, yes, I get that. But I don't think it necessarily needed to be moved to Twitch. I think it was all right for what it was. I mean, you barely had any blood. I mean, you did have blood, yes. But honestly, what I looked at was a match that's no different than what Impact Wrestling's had in the past on Pop and on Spike and on, you know, what was it? What other network did they have? Discover America or Discovery America or Discover America. It's no different than what they had on those channels. Maybe someone in charge at Pop TV said, "Hey, I like having Impact Wrestling, but if something's too violent, I'm not gonna." I don't know. What are the people at Anthem trying to do? Follow the suit of WWE? Like, hey, we'll only allow the hardcore violent matches to occur on pay-per-view on Twitch. Um, have you not noticed what El Rey has done with Lucha Underground? El Rey is trying to get attention as well. They're an up and coming bilingual network, and they're doing huge numbers, in a sense, in my opinion, or having huge success, in my opinion, with Lucha Underground. And Lucha Underground, some people are saying, it's like a hybrid of ECW meets CSI. So the original ECW meets CSI, or CZW meets CSI. And no one's complaining about that. I mean, they had Ultima Lucha Tres, and one of the first matches they had was the Art of War match, a 3 stages of hell match. And are you telling me that so you and you're telling me that a match like that is it, what I'm trying to say is, are you telling me that El Rey had more guts to air the Art of War match than you guys had guts, than Pop TV had guts to air Barbed Wire Massacre, which I hate to say this, Barbed Wire Massacre was good. Yes, it had its moments. But are you telling me that El Rey had more guts to air Art of War than Pop had to air Barbed Wire Massacre? I'm just saying, because it seems to me that Barbed Wire Massacre 3, with all due respect, was tame, was very tamed. Wasn't well, it's not very tame, but it was tamer and less violent than what you got with the freaking Art of War match. And like I say, El Rey Network is a up and coming, if not noticeable, if not well renowned, bilingual network. So you're telling me they had more guts to do something that Pop wouldn't? I know people hearing this might say, well, then why doesn't Impact just go to El Rey? El Rey could have Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling. They kind of work together anyway right now. With, wrestlers being able to appear on both programs. That's true. That is true. They are able to appear on both programs. So it would make sense for Impact to go to El Rey. But here's the thing. Impact Wrestling and Anthem Sports, they know that Pop TV is a little bit more well known than El Rey. So they'd rather have um, a product on a more well-renowned network, maybe not as known as USA or Spike. And that was my stomach. But they'd rather have something that's on a more well-renowned network than one it's known, it's known, but not as known. It's kind of like an underground channel, if you will. I'm just saying. But again, you're telling me they had more guts to do what they did in the Art of War match at Ultima Lucha Tres than Pop did with Barbed Wire Massacre 3? I'm just saying. But again, I can probably understand from the people in charge at Pop TV, they probably felt that some people probably, I'm guessing that some people probably felt that the match didn't require to be put on, didn't require to be censored or not aired or be put on another platform. Maybe some felt that way, But I'm thinking someone in the higher up level probably noticed, probably thought otherwise. Well, maybe all of them thought, okay, maybe we can air this, but maybe someone like in human resources may have told the people in charge at Pop, like, yeah, I agree with you, but look at what the timing that it's going to air. Do you think it's appropriate that young kids see this, even though there were young kids in the freaking audience watching the match live when it happened? I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying, folks. I think honestly, um, Pop TV needs to Pop TV needs to reevaluate what they deem is way too violent and should be put on something like Twitch, the Impact Wrestling channel, Impact Wrestling's Twitch channel, and what is suitable, if not just barely suitable for Pop. Because if that's the case, you got several men and women coming into this company, like Stu Young, Hana. You got OVE starting up a new feud real soon with Moose, Eddie Edwards, and then you're gonna have Tommy Dreamer involved. It's like, are you seriously not gonna realize that some of this might get a little out of control? I'm just saying, Pop TV. I'm just saying that maybe what you need to do, all honesty, is you need to reevaluate how you showcase your product. In Anthem Sports, it may not be you that's behind this, and if it is as well, maybe you need to reevaluate how you handle the product. Because you know what? If Barbed Wire Massacre 3 is too violent for Pop TV, gee, I wonder what a House of Hardcore match will be like at Redemption at your next pay-per-view, which I'll talk about towards the end. I wonder how that's going to be. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. All right, enough of that. But let me know what you guys think about Barbed Wire Massacre 3 being moved from Twitch to Pop TV when it did. Let me know what you guys think, because I think it's a little weird, if you know what I'm saying. I think it's a little weird. Oh, it's like, let me look at something here. Okay, one is watching. Well, actually, I'm the one that's watching. I'm watching me. I'm just checking something there. It does say public. Yeah, it's public, so it should be. Hold on for a sec. Sorry about that. I had to let my cat back. Let me my mom's cat back in. These are. Let's see if we got anything light up there. Yes, we do. Get some natural light in here, hopefully. But anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, next thing I want to talk about, if I can pull it up here. Next thing I want to talk about is the news item that came out this past week about WWE. Now, apparently there's discussion going on. I guess Solomon Monster brought this up, and I'll have to tweet him this as well. Put this in his tag, so I'll have to send this to him. Hold on. Um, but apparently, uh, oops, that's the wrong one. Do that one. But apparently, Solomon Monster brought up this topic because it was brought up, I guess, this past week or so. I think because it was brought up this past week or so. And what it is that, well, this spring, apparently, if this spring, sometime in the spring, WWE will be free to negotiate with other networks for 2019. 2019, in case you guys don't know, is when the agreement with the USA Network comes to an end, and they'll be able to possibly go to another network should they choose to. Now, Solomon brought up a good few points. I mean, I listened to what he had to say, and the points that he brought up are pretty good. Um, there would be some restrictions. There would be some changes, maybe with Fox, being on Fox or being with part of the Fox networks. But then again, knowing WWE, they might want to remain where they feel they're safe and where they can make the most revenue and where they're established and all that. But here's the thing, though. WWE has been back on USA since 2006. Was it 2006 or 2005? I think it might have been two. Let's see. Oh, okay. October 3rd, 2005. It was, since October 2005, it's been back on the USA Network. So it went away from USA for about 5 years, and then it came back. So, with that said, they've been on there for almost, how many years is it going on now? Going to be 13 years. It's going to be celebrating Raw's 25th anniversary from both the Barclays Center and the Manhattan Center this Monday. I'm looking forward to that. Um, they are going to head up, and they also have SmackDown Live on Tuesdays. And they recently tested the waters during the WWE week, which I guess is a part of the agreement with USA. They recently had the WWE week where they did a one night showing of NXT. So that's pretty cool. So that was pretty good, pretty cool for NXT in itself to get a broader audience. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that makes you wonder about the potential where WWE may go after 2019. Should they leave USA Network? I mean, again, like I said, like Solomon pointed out, they'll be freed up to talk to other networks this spring. It doesn't mean they're going to leave USA immediately. No, they still have one more year or so, a little over a year left on a contract agreement with the USA Network. But afterwards, they'll be free to go and probably air their product elsewhere. Now, Jason Solomon on the Solomon stuff, Solomon Stuff Sounds Off, brought up a good few points. He said that according to the speculation, the agreement is that Monday Night Raw would most inevitably end up on the actual Fox network. In other words, we're talking in my case KXTL Fox here in the Central Valley. It would end up on there on Monday nights. Well, SmackDown Live would probably end up on FS1. And any other kind of WWE product could end up either there as well or on FS2. Now, even though that would give Monday Night Raw a much larger audience to appeal to, because it wouldn't be restricted to cable, it would actually be on broadcast network television, over the air, if you will. So it wouldn't be restricted to cable. That would be a good thing for WWE, because putting Raw on a actual network, a broadcast over the air network, would work, because not only do you still get the ad revenue and stuff that you have right now with USA, but you get more eyes on your product. More people would be wanting to see what your product is about, hear what, and try to look at those positives some people tell them about. You get a wider audience, because believe it or not, there are people out there that don't have cable television. The only thing they have from the cable providers is internet and phone, and that's it. They don't have anything else. They don't have, internet. They don't have this. They don't have that. And what have you. They don't have any of that. They just sometimes they if they want to watch television, they will either watch a streaming channel through the Roku or the YouTube or whatever, or Amazon Fire, or they will go out and buy one of those antennas that's now, adaptable for 4K and HD TV, and that's how they watch television. And when one thinks about it, Raw being on the over-the-air broadcast Fox broadcast network would be beneficial for them. Would be beneficial for them in the end. Now, Solomon also brought up the fact that the biggest difference, though, is knowing Fox and the fact that they are on network television, and that a lot of the local Fox stations also air news telecast. The one beneficial area this would go for WWE, as far as the fans are concerned and the viewers are concerned, is we wouldn't have to worry about 3 hours anymore. Instead, we would get 2. We would only get 2 hours of Raw, just like we did before, because the local Fox networks would want to air the news right away. Another beneficial of this as well is because here's the one thing about Fox. They do have an exclusive deal with Major League Baseball. They do. So when it comes to playoff and World Series time, that might be the only obstacles they have to go over. But because at that time you have TBS and what is the other one? Fox as the outlets for for like the playoffs and that. It could still work. They could still air Raw on Monday nights. But then again, what they could end up doing is doing something they used to do in the past when they used to have Raw on USA before they went to Spike. And that is, they would have to either air Raw later on after the playoffs. In other words, they would have to do a pre-recording, just like they used to do before. Or they would have to preempt Raw until, let's say, the following night or the night after SmackDown. It would work because you would still be able to watch Monday Night Raw, but you'd have to watch it either after the game or 2 nights after. But again, this is where having multiple networks come in. See, USA Network doesn't have, well, they do have that platform with Sci-Fi and a few others, but they don't really. Fox does. And if WWE was to go to Fox, they would have that platform because let's say the major local Fox network is scheduled to air Major League Baseball, then like during the playoffs or something like that, then they can easily put up a note saying on this Monday, because of baseball, Monday Night Raw will be moved to FS1. It could work. I'm just saying. That's a possibility and a direction they could go in. You know, that's a possibility and a direction they can go in because it would work. To me, it would work in the end for them because they would have still a lot of opportunities to go out and be able to. Let me check something here. Okay, Zoom is okay. I'm just checking something. Yeah, it's public view. Still checking. I guess it's too early for a lot of people. I don't know. I mean, it is what is it? 7:24 in the morning right now. So I do apologize for that. But like I said, WWE would actually have more of an opportunity to have people. What I'm saying is, and again, like I said, it's early, but WWE, in my opinion, should they go to something like Fox and should Raw end up on the major, over the air Fox network, that opens the door for a bigger audience. And you could get that more casual audience that would be more acceptable to the product. But then again, here's another thing about Fox going to a place like Fox. WWE could become more lenient, perhaps. Now I know you're thinking, well, they're over the air. There's no way that would happen. First of all, have you not seen the X-Files and what they're rated sometimes? Have you not seen what some of these shows can be rated? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And Fox is, in a way, supposed to be a little edgier at times when it comes to primetime product than some other places. So maybe going to Fox, they could let loose just a bit, not much, but just a little bit more, and be more free to be able to say what they want and do what they want. Just saying. Maybe things would change. Maybe things might change slightly. Maybe they won't. But I look at the fact that it is beneficial if they if they were to move from USA in 2019 to, let's say, Fox. Again, the wide audience scope is the beneficiary right there. It really is. As far as SmackDown Live going to FS1, that would probably be the area it would go to most likely because just like back in the day, I know it's hard for me to say that, but back in the day, SmackDown was on over the air network with the UPN, now the CW, and then it went to Sci-Fi. Well, Raw was on Spike TV, and then later on USA. So it was still there. It was still there, in a way that SmackDown was still being aired, but they weren't being aired on the same network. They were being aired on a different network. That's what kind of gave you that variety, especially when it came to like the brand split. It gave you that feeling. I think that's what made the original brand split so effective. Is because Raw was on USA, so essentially USA was airing one brand, and if you wanted to watch the SmackDown brand, you had to tune into another network. So it felt kind of like that old school WWE WCW environment where you had one promotion on one network and another on another, and another promotion on another. So that could also be beneficial in a sense, because even though they still be under the same Fox umbrella, um, SmackDown would be on the FS1 cable portion, while Raw would be on the over-the-air Fox portion. That's if WWE is to leave USA Network, but Salamonster did bring up that it's more than likely it's not going to happen because USA might offer a more lucrative deal to WWE to remain on the network because many people have reported USA wants that third hour. And if they lose WWE, they lose that third hour of revenue that comes with that uh, third hour of Monday Night Raw. So they don't want to lose that. So they might end up offering them a more lucrative deal. And I'm inclined to agree with that. Like I said, I think WWE is at a point right now where, and the same goes with USA Network, that they're very established with each other. They're more set into how things are run or ran, and they'd rather keep it that way. And if reports are true about this source that talks about WWE possibly in talks with Fox, because that's who Triple H was talking to this past week or so. There's also that potential that, according to sources, that Fox might want to outright buy WWE from Vince McMahon. And Vince is the kind of guy that would not want to sell off his baby. He wouldn't. So he wouldn't want to sell off his family's business. He'd rather put it out of business before he sells it. So right now, I do agree with Jason Solomon that they're probably going to remain on USA for the foreseeable future. If they do end up moving to Fox or another network, it'd be a huge surprise, a huge surprise whatsoever. I mean, a huge surprise indefinitely, but um, we'll just have to wait and see. But as far as I'm concerned, it's up in the air right now. We won't really know anything until WWE is free to talk to other networks, officially free to talk to other networks as a whole, not just by one person, that being Triple H, but as a whole, they'll be able to talk to other networks. So this spring, so we'll see what happens. If news comes out this spring that starting in the fall of 2019, they're going to another network like Fox, and this is what's going to happen, the way Solomonster, myself, and others have probably kind of picture it, then that'd be a huge news. That'd be a huge shift. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what occurs. All right. Next thing on the table is Daniel Bryan. Now, there is rumor and speculation going around that Daniel Bryan could end up returning to the ring. Now, we all know that that a lot of the doctors that he's seen outside of WWE have cleared him, but the WWE doctors, like Dr. Maroon, has yet to clear him, even though there's word going around that might change and that he might get cleared. But we'll have to wait and see. Now, according to several sources, there are people within WWE that have reported that the creative staff have come up with this idea that would allow Daniel to enter the Royal Rumble, win it, and then we'll just go from there. And that would all be that's all to be part of the Shane McMahon Daniel Bryan situation that could lead to a match, maybe a street fight at WrestleMania 34. Now, and because of this, there have been several betting odds switched over to favor Bryan to win this match, to win the Royal Rumble match. And I will admit, being in Philadelphia, one of the hardcorest of wrestling towns, Daniel returning to the ring for that match, his music hits and that happens, that place will explode. It would. Now, how they would go with this is totally. Now, how they would go from there with the storyline, should they go in this direction and have Daniel win it, is totally up in the air. I've always put this. I've always had this picture in my mind that this whole thing with Daniel and Shane is because Shane is the closest to a McMahon that Daniel is going to get close to, that this might turn into a storyline where Daniel wants to, even though it's unfortunately through the likes of Shane, Daniel wants to stick it to the McMahons and say, "Hey, look, I know you're the." From a story standpoint, like I said, it could be Daniel sticking it to the McMahons, unfortunately through Shane, by saying, "Hey, look, I know you're the ones, not your doctors or anything, but I know you're the ones that kept me from getting in this ring because you know that." Hold on. That's my alarm going off and hit the mic there. Sorry. But they could go from a storyline perspective, kind of make it a work shoot story to where Daniel could be like, "Hey, I know it was you, not your doctors, that kept me from getting this ring because you know fans want me to be the face of this company. The fans want me in the main event. They don't want people that you choose to be in the main event because they know and you know that they're not ready for that spotlight." And in a sense, do a work shoot like that, be part of a storyline. He could be instigating to people like Roman Reigns and other people and other stars that WWE would say, "Oh yeah, that's our next big guy," and they don't realize, hey, maybe he's not ready for that yet. But the point is, that could potentially be the direction they go in. Like Daniel could win it, forfeit his title shot, and put it on the line in maybe a fatal four way or some kind of battle royal or tournament again, and the finals would be at Fastlane. But he could also use it as a loophole to say, "Hey, I won, but it doesn't mean I have to challenge. I found this loophole that says I don't have to challenge for a championship. I can have any match I want against anybody." And he could say, "I want you, Shane, in a street fight." And that perhaps the stipulation they could come up with is either a loser leaves town match, which people are speculating Daniel would probably lose, and this would be his last match in the company. Or if they were to do that, it could be a loser leaves town match to where the stipulation's a lot more significant. To where if Daniel loses to where it's like a loser leaves town versus career match. In other words, the stipulation could be, because I think, either way it could work, but the stipulation could be that if Daniel loses, he can remain with the company and in the position he's in, but he can never compete in the ring, period, ever again. His in-ring career is over, injury or not. But that if he wins, then not only Shane, but the entire McMahon family, including Triple H, are gone. They are no longer an influence on television. They are no longer an influence on screen. You know, they're no longer an influence on camera or on television. So they could probably do that to where, unfortunately, through Shane, he'd be able to possibly get rid of the entire McMahon family and let the wrestlers that run the show, that have been in the ring and have wrestled, make the decisions, make the calls, like Kurt Angle and himself. And again, that's just pure speculation on my part of where they could go with this. Because I doubt they're going to go with Daniel getting one last run with the WWE Championship. I mean, they could, and that would be a surprise. But again, in my opinion, honestly, in my wholehearted opinion, my thought process is they're going to go with a loser leaves town match, with the stakes being that if Daniel loses, he's done, he's gone, or if Shane loses, Shane and the McMahon family, that being Stephanie, Vince, Triple H, they're gone, they're history. Not in reality, they'll still be working behind the scenes, but they no longer appear on camera. They're done, they're history. you know they're no longer an influence on camera or anything, and only the wrestlers that are placed in charge can run the show. And that would work. And I think a lot of fans would be intrigued by that, because then, from a storyline perspective, that would allow the wrestlers that are general managers like Kurt and Daniel to make the decision of focusing more on wrestling than in entertainment. I'm just saying. I'm just saying that that could work. That could be one way they go. Again, I don't know exactly what direction they'll go in, but I believe that's one way. You know, you could have Daniel win it, Okay, you could have Daniel win the Royal Rumble because this is another direction they could go in because there's speculation going around that we'll either get Daniel and Shane at Mania or we're going to get Shane and a partner of his choosing against Kevin and Sammy at WrestleMania. Now, if they go in the direction where Shane takes on Kevin and Sammy in a tag team match at Mania and he gets to choose his partner, that partner could be Daniel Bryan because Daniel, let's say it could come down to Daniel and Kevin Owens in the Rumble match and everything. It would look like Daniel was going to let Kevin win it, but then all of a sudden he just dumps him out. He could lure Kevin into a false security of a false security into a false alarm or security, and he could end up dumping Kevin out. And then Kevin wouldn't be happy about that. And then that could help lead into a tag team match at Mania with Daniel and Shane, the people in charge of SmackDown, against Kevin and Sammy. Again, they got all kinds of options that they go in, all kinds of directions they can go in as far as this, as far as Daniel returning to the ring, and what direction returning to the ring and winning the Rumble match. Again, it's all up in the air right now. These are just rumors, sources. People have said that they felt that they have said they gotten from within WWE Creative. So we'll just have to wait and see. But again, those are just speculations on my part on where I think they could end up going with this in the future. So we'll just have to wait and see what they do with Daniel Bryan as far as him going back to the ring and probably winning the Royal Rumble match a week from tomorrow. All right, next topic on the list here. WWE apparently has had a busy week signing several people to the roster. Those people being EC3, War Machine, Ricochet, Trevor Mann, I think, and Candace LeRae, among others. But those are just some of the big names they've signed. A majority of them are going to probably be NXT bound, like EC3. Well, I don't know. EC3 is kind of up in the air because he's been in NXT before as Derek Bateman. So I would assume he's more main roster bound because he's already kind of established that he could cut a good promo and have some good matches on on a major grand scale when it came to Impact Wrestling. So I would assume EC3 is probably going to be main roster bound, maybe even Royal Rumble bound. War Machine, I think they're going to be War Machine, according to reports, are heading to NXT and that they're going to be facing the Authors of Pain, possibly at the Takeover show during WrestleMania weekend. So that'll be interesting right there. And that's supposed to be the Authors of Pain final NXT appearance before they head to the main roster. And really, I think, give the tag team division, depending on what brand they go to, a major injection. So War Machine's definitely NXT bound. Ricochet is NXT bound, there's no doubt. Candace LeRae, I think, is kind of up in the air. She might be NXT bound because her husband's down there right now, but she might be main roster bound as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think these are good signings for WWE. The only question is exactly what they're going to do with them. Because you have EC3 coming in, and if he goes to the main roster, then people. Because here's the thing: the casual, if not main WWE audience, they're gonna know who he is. They're gonna know who he is right off the bat. They're gonna do research and be like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's that guy." They're gonna give him basically the same treatment, maybe that they did to Matt Bloom when he came back as Tenzai. They know who he is. They'll know who he is. So I'm kind of afraid that EC3 is going to get that Derek treatment. That I just get this feeling he's going to get the Derek treatment. You're going to hear people giving him maybe the same treatment that, like I said, they gave Matt Bloom when he came back as Tenzai. Instead of not saying anything, they were calling him Albert or A Train. And I'm afraid and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. I'm afraid what could happen with Ethan is they're going to give him the Derek treatment, where they're going to go like, Derek, 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 Derek. because they'll know who he really is. But maybe that won't be the case. I don't know. I mean, Matt Bloom spent several years in Japan before he came back. Um, establishing himself as Giant Bernard, now Tensai. Maybe Derek has spent plenty of time, like what has it been 4 years in Impact Wrestling. Maybe he's established himself enough as someone completely new, someone completely different, and maybe that's going to work in the favor. Maybe that might work, well, not his favor, their favor, but his favor. So let's hope we're not. Let's hope we don't get um, another Tensai incident when Derek Bateman, oh, not Derek, but EC3. See, now I'm starting to say it. When EC3 debuts, let's just hope we don't get another um, Tensai incident where people refer to him as his former identity and not who he is now. Let's hopefully, I mean, there's been years have gone by, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But if it does, if it does, I don't know. I mean, apparently he's proven that he could reinvent himself, reestablish himself and all that. So maybe that, again, maybe it won't be the same scenario because, a lot of people were hoping Matt Hardy, when he came back in, would bring the broken gimmick, and he started showing signs of that, and it kind of died down, and now he's finally brought it in as the Woken gimmick, and fans are accepting it. Fans are getting behind it. Yeah, it's starting off slow, but they're getting behind it to the point that rumors are going around that we might get a final deletion match somewhat down the line between him and Wyatt. But that's another video for another time. The point is that I'm getting at is the point is, he's either going to come in and get that same treatment that Matt Bloom got, or he's been gone long enough and been around long enough, been gone long enough and been to other promotions besides Impact long enough to where he's established himself as being now just EC3. And there have been several incidences where people will go away and you know who they are, but when they come back, okay, what I'm saying is there have been several incidences where people have gone away as one identity. They be gone for like several years or a year or so, and they'll come back and they'll be completely different. They reinvented themselves. And that might be the case here. So all we can do is hope and pray that he doesn't get the same treatment that Matt Bloom got when he came back. But as far as him debuting, I would say his debut is going to be in the Royal Rumble, which is kind of funny, seeing as though he'd still be part of Impact Wrestling taping-wise by the time the Rumble comes around. So the Rumble appearance may be up in the air, but we'll have to wait and see. Candace LeRae, her signing is great. Her being part of the NXT women's division or the main roster women's division, depending on what brand she would be on, is a great addition. And I think she's going to make her debut in the Royal Rumble. I really do. She's pretty much already an established name. You're in Philadelphia. Why not debut her there in the Rumble match? Because the Philly crowd's going to know who she is right off the bat. And I guarantee you, the moment that music hits, whatever her music is, and then they see on the Titantron, because now they just go by the names, they see LeRae, and then they see Candace or whatever, however they do it, people are going to go crazy. They're going to love it. So I think debuting her in the Women's Rumble match would probably be the best scenario. Ricochet, he's already established as an indie star. He made news, of course, with that whole situation with Real Osprey back a year or two ago. He's made a name for himself as Prince Puma in Lucha Underground, and that's something that they could do. They could do a Finn Balor kind of thing where, like, if he has to really, if he gets into a storyline situation to where, Ricochet, he feels, hey, my Ricochet can't do this, but I know someone that can, and then he puts on the mask and he says, Puma can. That could work. So, they got potential to go the whole, identity kind of, the whole alter ego kind of thing with Ricochet here. But him starting off in NXT is probably the best way to go because it will allow him to still kind of be himself. And then while he's there, kind of learn the whole way of WWE so that when he gets ready to go to the main roster, they could say, yeah, this is what you're going to have to change up a little bit. Like you can still be yourself here, but you're going to, when you go to that main roster, when you get that eventual call up, you're going to have to tone it down just a bit. So, and I think so that could happen. So that's a definite possibility. And I think Ricochet is the kind of guy that's willing to accept that, would be willing to adapt. Like he'll be happy to still be able to do what he wants to do and perform the way he does in NXT. But I see Ricochet as the kind of guy that would be willing to adapt and kind of change up a little bit when he gets that call up to the main roster, so that even though he'd still be able to do certain things that people know him for, it won't be, you know, it'll be slightly different in a sense to where some fans may be upset about it, but at least there'll be something that's still there that would be recognizable. Like it's just toned down a little bit. It's toned down a bit. But I see him being a good fit for NXT, and I definitely see a call up for him coming up maybe before years out. I just feel that's going to happen. As far as him debuting, I think he, EC3, and LeRae are going to make their debuts in the Rumble matches on the week from Sunday. I just got this feeling. You always want to make surprises happen. What better way to really, especially the hardcores, the wrestling cities, Philadelphia, what better way to do that? So that's what I feel is going to happen there. War Machine, they may do the same thing, but I think they're going to save them for maybe. I think what's going to happen with War Machine is they're going to have them appear on stage or in the audience during the tag team championship match at NXT Takeover Philadelphia. They may make him interfere in this, that you hear you start the program with them and the Authors of Pain, or they may just have them come to the ring. The new music may hit. Authors of Pain may look up and then see them, and there you go. There's your next feud. And hey, maybe it'll be for the NXT Tag Team titles. That'd be interesting. Okay, next up. Okay, so enough about that. So next up on the list here, WrestleMania 35's location. Okay. Now, apparently, an announcement is supposed to be made very soon, probably during Royal Rumble weekend, as to where WrestleMania 35 will end up. Now, there's been a lot of speculation as to what the location would be. Some are speculating it's going to be Levi Stadium back in Santa Clara. Some are speculating it could be Lincoln Field in Philadelphia, although they still might get some snow at that time. And some are speculating where the Super Bowl is going to be held this year, which I think is probably the most likely candidate. I hate to say that, but it seems every year when a Super Bowl occurs in a stadium, the WWE wants to follow that up with a WrestleMania. Even if it's a few years after or a year after, WWE wants to follow up with WrestleMania. So I think the announcement that's going to happen is WWE is going to, because any location, any grand location they can get would be probably a good location. But because the Super Bowl is going to be held in Minneapolis at US Bank Stadium with the potential of being historic as being the first Super Bowl to be, what I mean, and I talked about this before, it has the potential of being historic as being the first Super Bowl with a home team that plays the home games on that field are playing in the Super Bowl against maybe a team that's never been there. So that's a possibility. And you can't tell me WWE is not going to pass up on the fact that, hey, we could have WrestleMania in a stadium that made history with the Super Bowl. So I definitely see the potential of that occurring. I really do. I see that potential happening. So honestly, in my opinion, I think what's going to occur, I think the announcement's going to be, and maybe I'm wrong, is like I said, it doesn't matter exactly what location they're gonna go with, because whatever location they choose might be great, but I think they're gonna go with US Bank Stadium, because 'cause they've never been to Minneapolis. They had several opportunities to have WrestleMania in the Metrodome when it was around, but they never did. So I think they're gonna go with US Bank Stadium because it's new, it's recently new, it's only been in existence for, like, how long? Let me see, it's only been in existence since 2016, so and it could hold up to seating rise as far as football games go. Um, football wise, it seats up to 66,655. Um, so you can only imagine. So you can only imagine um, that the capacity of adding like 1,000 more seats to that, maybe 20,000 more seats to that on the ground. So they have the potential of having like 90,000 people, maybe 86,000 people in that building. That would be huge. And again, it's new. The way it's presented, let me get back to it. The way it's presented, let me see. Yeah, the way it's presented is you can actually, I think sunlight actually comes in through the windows. Yeah, the way it's presented, I'm looking at it right now. You got transparent roofs and walls. If they start WrestleMania during the day, which you would probably do around 4 o'clock, that would be huge because you wouldn't have to worry about too. I mean, yeah, they'd still use lights and everything, but that would be a huge, s that would be a huge deal right there because you'd still get sunlight coming in, and so you wouldn't have to use that many lights. I mean, yeah, you'd have to wait till the evening till, for, like, let's say someone if you're still gonna have the freaking Undertaker wrestling or appearing to do his entrance because you would need nighttime for that. But as far as what locations WWE will have for WrestleMania, my assumption is they're gonna go with US Bank Stadium. I mean, Lincoln Field's great, you know, and the hosting the the NFC Championship, Philadelphia's hosting it, and they could seat, as far as football goes, 3,000 more people and maybe 89, 90 altogether. So I'm not saying that's not a bad choice, but you got to remember, even in April, you could still get some snow. So, um, I, so I'm guessing it's going to be a toss up. I'm thinking it's going to be. I mean, here in the Bay Area, you'll depending on the weather here. Last time it was here, it was nice. So you could probably have it here again. But my assumption is they're going to go with Minneapolis. I just really feel that's going to happen. I think they're going to go with US Bank Stadium because you got the Super Bowl going there this year, possibly a historic one at that. And the fact that it's more modernized, more just recently new, and the fact that, like I said, you got a transparent roof and a transparent walls. So I think that's going to be very appealing and attracting to WWE, especially since that would allow them not have to. So so even what I'm trying to say is that would even allow them not having to worry about using that many lights. Should it be a nice day that day? Should the sun be shining through, they wouldn't have to worry about using too many lights, and that's a beneficiary, financially for a company like even WWE. So my thought process is I think WrestleMania 35's location is going to be revealed as US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. That's what I feel they're going to go with is and it's because many of the reasons I mentioned and maybe several other reasons. But let me know what you guys think about that. All right, next topic. I'm going to scroll down here. Next topic after that. All right, Impact Wrestling replacing the lockdown pay-per-view with one called Redemption. Now, this is going to contain spoilers, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you know about them by now. Austin Aries recently returned to Impact Wrestling, became the Impact Champion by answering an open challenge, in a sense, by Eli Drake. So Eli Drake's still in the main event picture because he's got 2 briefcases. Lost the championship to Austin Aries. Now Austin apparently is a champion in other independent promotions across the sea in the UK and here in the States. So basically, there's one picture going around where he has the Impact Championship and the IPW Championship and a few others. And I think it's his way of rubbing it in WWE's face, saying, hey, see what you let go? You know, this is what you could have had. I'm guessing that's what it's going to end up being like. Because I'm sure WWE's already seen the picture. But anyway. Getting back on track here. Apparently, Lockdown is no more. The Lockdown pay-per-view itself is no more. And instead, it's going to be called Redemption. Now, apparently, from what the sources have said, there's a report going around that Don Callis, who's one of the executive producers now, along with Scott D'Amore, not only were they responsible for the 6-sided ring going away again, and I guess they had legitimate reasons saying that the 6-sided ring was uncomfortable and 4 sides better, more traditional. But also the fact that I guess the concept of having all cage events or all cage pay-per-views was played out, or they just felt was wearing out the novelty of the cage match. That's what I'm guessing. So it's one of those reasons. I'm thinking one of the reasons is because they just didn't like the idea of all cage events. You know, to where every match, whether it had a reasoning or not, being in a cage. So and they kind of have a point there, but you know, Lockdown to me was a unique pay-per-view because you know, it was all cage matches at times, but they did kind of scale that down just a bit to where you had like a few. Not every match was a cage, you know, just a few were. So it's kind of a shame to see it go. But I don't think Lethal Lockdown's going to go anywhere. I think Lethal Lockdown, the match, Lethal Lockdown's still going to be around. But I think the all cage show is, a concept is pretty much done. But as far as the redemption goes, I think they're calling it redemption for several reasons. One main reason is a redemption for the company. It's like redemption is like a rebirth for us to show that we are back. We are back on track. That's why they're called redemption. It's a redemption for the company as a whole to show, hey, we are back on track. We are back to who we are, to what we should be, and we're better than ever. We'll just have to wait and see if that's the case. you know, but yeah, Impact Wrestling, Anthem Sports deciding they didn't like the all cage match perspective and decide, hey, we're going to go with a more traditional pay-per-view. Maybe we might have a cage match in there, but that's about it. And I don't know. I guess you can't, you know, it's look, I'm not the one in charge. Honestly, you know, obviously, I'm not the one in charge, neither is anybody watching. Well, maybe those that work there are. But yeah, to see, like I said, to see the lockdown, the all cage concept go, all cage show go, I could probably understand. Maybe it's played out and everything because it's like, you know what? Because I'm pretty sure someone on the Anthem side is like, what's the point of having an all cage show when some of the matches don't have a reasoning for being in a cage? I can understand that, and that's what I said. You know, they kind of scaled it down a little bit as years went on, but I can understand maybe, you know, not having it, you know, not, well, I can understand maybe, you know, lockdown represents, you know, the past and they really want to get away from the TNA past and all that. So they're like, okay, let's get rid of it. Well, we won't get rid of the match itself, which is the lethal lockdown match, but we'll get rid of the pay-per-view, the concept itself, the all cage concept itself. So We'll just have to see what happens. Maybe Redemption might be a good replacement. We'll have to wait and see. Um, but yeah, it's kind of sad to see the lockdown event itself go away. But maybe there's a reasoning for it. But I don't think, honestly, if anybody's worried, I don't think the lethal lockdown match is going to go anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm gonna see something. Hold on, let me see. Impact Wrestling. Here it is, Redemption. Redemption is going to be on April 22nd. So in other words, it's going to be 2 weeks afterwards. It's going to be in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We don't know where actually in Toronto. It just says it's going to be in Toronto. So, and the matches they got already signed, according to the spoilers, are Austin Aries, Alberto El Patron for the Global Championship, Matt Sydal against P. Williams for the X Division title. And by the way, Matt Sydal turns heel, I guess. You got LAX against Eli Drake and Scott Steiner for the tag team titles. And then you got OVE versus Jake Chris, and Sammy Callahan versus Tommy Dreamer, Moose, and Eddie Edwards in a House of Hardcore match. So, yeah, they say it's in Toronto, but they don't say exactly where it's going to be. I doubt it'll be in the Sky Dome. I doubt it'll be in the Canada Center. So it's going to be kind of unique where they have the event at. So, but yeah, that's the card right now, unless they add more as the tapings go on for Redemption. But yeah, Redemption takes place about 2 weeks after WrestleMania. Kind of ironic, if you will, within that time frame. But we'll have to wait and see what they do. And all I could say is I hope they made I hope the decision to get rid of the L Cage show concept was good on that part, and let's see what they can do with the Redemption show. Let's see what they can do. Maybe Redemption, like I said, might be good. We'll have to wait and see. All right. And the last thing I want to talk about is Paige and potentially her in-ring WWE career being over. Now, I did see the footage like everybody else, and yeah, I know some people have come out and said that it's just like it's just the same kind of foot to the back that Sasha gives to every other competitor. And I do agree. We can't put the blame on Sasha. We can't. Yes, Sasha is kind of at fault for maybe ending the career, but it's like they say, these kind of things happen in all kinds of sports: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, boxing, MMA, professional wrestling. It all happens. These incidents happen. And maybe Paige, I'm not trying to say it's her fault because I know she's going to probably watch. I'm not saying Paige didn't probably hide something from the WWE doctors and say, "Yeah, I'm cleared. Here's my note that I'm cleared." Maybe she didn't tell them everything because she wanted to get back in the ring, because there are people that have a passion and love for what they do to want to continuously do it and not let anything hold them back. Because I think Paige knew that if she let the WWE know about what was really going on, that, yeah, I'm kind of clear here, except for this issue, that knowing WWE and the way they are, especially with someone like Edge and Daniel Bryan, and maybe because of what happened with Tyson Kidd, that, they wouldn't want to take a chance. Like, Paige, I'm guessing, my opinion, and Paige, if you're watching, this is just my opinion, that she probably realized that if she told the company everything and say, "Yeah, I'm totally fine except for the few issues here and there, but I'm good to go in the ring," that they probably wouldn't have cleared her. That WWE wouldn't have said, "Yeah, they have cleared you And yeah, you could probably go, but if you have these issues, we're going to hold you off a lot longer until we get everything cleared up. Which means she probably would have had to wait another year or another 6 months. And I think Paige has got to the point where she's like, look, I need to get back in the ring. I need to get my mind off all this personal stuff that's happened. I need to get back in the ring and do what I love to do and do what I was raised to do. Now, as far as her career in WWE being over, if it is over, and I emphasize if, then it's a shame because she just came back with a lot of momentum. Like a lot of people said, she was just putting this major storyline with Absolution with Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. But now, if her career is over, she's been reduced to basically being a manager. Now, they could bring somebody else in to take her place, which would probably be the best solution. And she could be the manager, and they could be like the four horsewomen of WWE for the main roster, or the evolution of WWE for the main roster. But the question is, who would they choose to take Paige's place in Absolution? That would be the question. I mean, you got potentials of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce that could be good choices. Candace LeRae, like I mentioned, could be a good choice. Serena Deeb, that's being rumored to come back, could be a good choice. You got a lot of these potentially good choices there, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. And I emphasize, like I say, if on her career because, yeah, she was having a hard time getting back up after she got that, foot to the back, feet from Sasha to the back. But honestly, when she says, the comeback, when she tweets the comeback's going to be even stronger or something like that, I think in a way, because Paige knows her body. Paige knows her body, and she knows that maybe this is going to be a setback, but she's going to do her damnedest to get back in the ring in WWE because if Paige is committed to wrestling and to finishing something, if she's that kind of person, then she's going to finish it. She's going to commit herself to finishing it and getting it done and seeing it through no matter what. And I think she's going to do her damnedest to get back in the ring and compete in WWE. Even if she has to sign a waiver saying that whatever happens to me is my fault and not WWE's. And you know what? Maybe that's what WWE needs to do. If they know people like Paige, Daniel Bryan, and a few others still want to compete despite nagging injuries that WWE feels, hey, your career is over because of that nagging injury. If they just decide, hey, we'll sign these waivers, which means whatever happens to us, it's not your fault, it's ours, I think might be the best solution for WWE to go down. Might be the best route and direction for WWE to go down because it takes it off their hands and puts it in the hands of the people that want to continuously compete despite the injuries that WWE feels is putting their career at a halt right now, maybe indefinitely. Hold on. Well, like I said, it's putting their career on halt, if not permanent, if not indefinitely, if not permanently. So I think that's the best solution for them to do is just sign a waiver. Just say, hey, we'll sign this waiver, takes any problems or anything off your hands, puts it in ours. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people in sports do that. If they feel, hey, we could still go, but you feel we don't, here, we'll sign this. Yes, and make it legal for us to still go in that ring. And whatever happens to us, it's in our hands, not yours. I think that's the best solution for WWE to do because if they know they got people, men and women on the roster that still want to compete, this is the best solution for them to do going. And I think, honestly, Paige, if you're watching and listening, that's probably the best solution for you to do. For you to say, hey, look, I'm going to put this legal waiver together. I'm going to give it to WWE and say, hey, this is a waiver that says whatever happens to me, it's my fault. It's on me. I'll take care of it. Your guys' hands are clean. You guys don't have to worry about it. I think that's the best solution. I think that is the best solution for them to go down. because it takes the responsibility off the company and puts it in the hands of those that feel they could still go in the ring. So again, when I emphasize if her career is over, knowing it, how Paige, knowing the kind of person Paige could be, just watching her in that ring and hearing about her and reading about how passionate and everything she is about the business that she grew up in, I think she's the kind that will try to do something like that. I'm thinking she's the kind that will try to either get a waiver signed that takes the responsibility off WWE's hands and puts it in her own, or she'll be the kind that will do her damnedest to get back in that ring to rehab and all that. So, and to get the doctors to overturn, the WWE doctors to overturn her status of competing. So I think that's what's going to happen with Paige. But right now, it is kind of unfortunate she's going to miss the Women's Royal Rumble. But, maybe, next year if they have another one, she'll come back and she'll win it. Maybe they'll make it up to her like that. So, okay. So anyway, that's going to about do it for the wrestling edition on this January 20th, 2018 of Topics on My Mind. Thank you all for watching live and post-live after it's been uploaded. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know it was early, and I know I kind of rambled and repeated myself a little bit, so I do apologize for that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear what you have to say, and I will talk to you all later. God bless. Take care.